Welcome to another episode of the Swords and Sports Podcast. One man journey to read 52 fantasy books in 52 weeks and create 52 podcasts documenting the experience. I'm your host, Mike Mogues, and this week I'm joined by the madman himself, the Doctor of Disaster, Mr. Clayton Snyder, to talk about his book, Demons, Inc. That interview is coming up right after our typical announcement and book details. As a quick self-promo, you can find this podcast on all your podcast listening platforms. Are you tired of hearing me say that? Well, then I hope it's because you've already downloaded it and you just don't like being told what to do again and again and again. But there's a reason for it. Try to make this show pop. You can find it on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Audible, wherever the hell you find podcasts, it's there. Also, you can find these videos that I spend way more time than I should on YouTube, and you would think I'd spend so much time on it that they'd be good, but you know what? It's a work in progress. Be patient. The YouTube channel, I believe, is Swords and Sports as well. For all details about upcoming episodes, including featured books, author interviews, and more, you can follow me on Twitter for clips of the show, which I haven't been putting out too many lately. You can follow the Instagram. The handle is @Swords and Sports. It's all Swords and Sports if you haven't figured it out. Let's get into these book details. The book is Demons, Inc. Ink as in like what is littered on my arm, not as in incorporated. I feel like I keep making that joke and it's just not landing, but what are you going to do? You got to keep pushing through the hard times. The author is Clayton Snyder. I don't think it is in a series. It was published May 13th, 2020. It is not as many pages as I wrote down. It is 220 pages. I had 2,020 pages. It's not that long. I don't want to do him a disservice. The publisher is Rogue Publishing, which means he published it. He's the rogue. Spoiler alert. Speaking of spoiler alerts, this podcast contains spoilers for the following book, Demons, Inc. by Clayton Snyder. So if you haven't read it yet, consider this your warning. Once again, if you haven't read the book, consider this your warning. Without further ado, Clayton Snyder. Clayton Snyder. Weird that it does that now, right? All right, it is another week, and I am beyond excited to bring the fantastic Clayton Snyder himself. He's here to talk about Demons, Inc. Inc. as in pen ink, not as in incorporated. He's also the author of the Balance book series. And oh yeah, he did a book with that Fletcher guy. So welcome to the show, Clayton.
Thanks. Yeah, that Fletcher guy.
Enemy of the program. So my first question, and I'm not sure how often you get this, is you famously played Ethan Kraft on Lizzie McGuire. Are you going to be reprising your role for the reboot?
I have never played Ethan Kraft. I can't go anywhere without that showing up though.
It's unfortunate. Actually, I think it's fortunate that it comes up with one of the first few search results for you.
Right. If you Google me, you get him, which is always fantastic.
Now, do you think when he ever goes, man, everybody always keeps asking me about Demons, Inc.
I doubt it.
You never know. People
Right.
People share names with other people. I had an author who shares a name with just a hockey player, and I was like, I wonder if those two are aware of each other. So I was looking up some of your previous books, and they were published by this house, Parliament House, right?
Right. Yep.
Now, when I looked up what Parliament House was, it was a now closed gay resort in Orlando, and I thought, wow, what an interesting side business that they're also publishing fantasy books. I'm incorrect in that, right?
That is also wrong. Yes. They're a small press they are out of Florida. Um, but yeah, they handle mostly supernatural paranormal type stuff. My the books they published for me so far have all been more on the YA side of things. So
Okay, so not the same company, though. Let me tell you, that would have been electric. Hey, why not? I've seen crazier combos work, right? Like some of these like food combos now you see, you're like, it's not gonna work, but it does.
you never know. I mean, the other Clayton Snyder might very well publish through them.
Now that's something. I like that idea. On June 5th, you were really hot. And your response to this was that you were going to burn one of your characters. So my
Oh
question is, does that character remain unscathed or is now a pile of ashes?
no, yeah, he's rendered fat. I made him a candle, a little votive. So
Oh, it's nice. Well, you know what? At least now he's got a purpose. How often would you say things in your day to day cause you to inflict pain on characters in your book?
oh often. I'm, I'm a web dev in my day job. So I tend
Going.
to, yeah. Yeah.
That's you know what? I kind of like that as maybe not therapist approved. I'll have to consult with mine, but it seems like a healthy way to get out some emotion.
Yeah, I mean, if when I wrote the Thieves books, they were, oh boy, they were politically motivated. I just had so much stuff inside, and it had to get out, and that's where it went, and it was pure sarcasm and snark, and just me kind of, um, definitely not Pratchett, but maybe if Pratchett was drunk and really angry.
Some would say that's an improved version.
Right.
I have to imagine if it's more sarcastic than some of the lines in Demons Inc., then I can only imagine where we're at. Very exciting stuff. Uh, your just 5 minutes method, where you talk about you do it for 5 minutes, and if you're at the end of the 5 minutes, you're like, nah, fuck this. I tried that with my job today, and I did not work.
Right. It doesn't work all the time. It does work for stuff that that you might not that you want to do, but you might not have the motivation to do. So I'll sit down, and from like drafting, for me, drafting can be painful at times. So it's just sitting down and throwing out 5 minutes worth of words and then going, oh, okay, well, this has got to go here now. And then there's another 5 minutes and so on until it's just kind of out there.
Well, oh man, I timed this perfectly. Well, we're 5 minutes into this podcast. Do you want to cut out?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. I can ask again in another five.
Right.
This resulted in me getting no work done. What are some other things that the 5 minute method should not be applied to?
Oh, God, things I probably shouldn't say. I don't know if
I
I'd
had
apply.
one.
I was gonna say I don't know if I'd apply it to sex.
That was the first thing I thought too. I was like, I don't know if I want to. I don't know how to word that correctly.
Oh man, it's been 5. I'm out. Yeah.
I think I'd get stabbed for that. I was thinking like I'm planning a wedding, so like 5 minutes into that, I could be like, yeah, not for me today.
Right. Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
How often do you find yourself just throwing in the towel, just being like, yeah, not today, and
Oh,
not in like a oh no, I can't do this kind of way, and like this is the healthy way to just be like, this isn't happening.
oh, rarely. I'm healthy. Uh, I'm incredibly stubborn. So if it doesn't work for me the first day, I'll come back and I'll come back and I'll come back and I'll just beat my head against it until I win. So
Well, it seems like you've won quite a few times because you're putting out excellent stuff. Um, can you tell me this was deep in an interview, and I don't even remember what the context was. Could you tell me more about this colon currency that 1 coin equals 10 pounds of potatoes and 2 equals a dozen eggs?
Oh, the coin. Coin? It's a very hard word to say.
Like the title of your newest book.
Right. So this currency I was actually looking up. I was just doing world building research, and I came across it as a theoretical currency that actually was used in some regions of Russia at the time, and that is the actual exchange rate for it. One was, what was it again?
One was 10 pounds of potatoes, which is a
Right.
lot of potatoes.
Yeah, but that's enough to feed your family for, I think, like a week, something like that. And then 2 was a dozen eggs and so on. But yeah, it actually had the exchange rates, and it was kind of interesting. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous enough. Let's use that. So
Now, would that be a better investment than Dogecoin?
I'd say they're probably on parity. So,
Well, I'm tired of losing money in one, so maybe I have to invest in the other. I'd rather have 10 pounds of potatoes than massive profit loss.
right.
It's not working out for me, Clayton.
I recently set up my my machine to I have a tower here, and I recently set it up to my is it Electrum?
Yeah, I have no
Ethereum.
Ethereum, yeah.
And I keep forgetting. I keep shutting it off, so it's never actually mining anything. It's just breaking like a third of the block and then quitting. So that's not very useful.
Wait. Oh my God, you're gonna be rich one day. You're way ahead of me. All I do is I press buttons on an app and the money goes away.
Right.
It seems like you're being way more active.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the best idea. So
At least you're trying.
Yeah. You can kind of sum up everything I do with that phrase, though. I don't know if it was the best idea.
Well, this is coming from a man who said his most biggest writing issue was that he ate a questionable hot dog once.
I don't recall that. Was this something I tweeted?
No, but your Twitter is wild, and I do want to ask about that. No, it was in an interview. You said, they said, what was your biggest writing issue? And you said, I ate a bad hot dog once. A questionable hot dog. Wasn't confirmed good or bad. So that was my question. There wasn't a question there. Now I realized I got to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it destroyed me for a day. So that'll definitely interrupt production. So.
Okay. The first story you ever wrote was about an angel that got chained like a dog and was fed heroin. Now, a more astute journalist would be like, that has a lot of elements that I saw in Demons Inc. Kind of. I could see where this type of writing style came from. I'm going to ask a different question because I'm not a journalist. How long did the angel live in the story?
Oh, I think he was the main character. But I never actually finished the story. I think I got about 200 handwritten pages and finally gave it up. It just got weirder and weirder and weirder. It was 25 years ago that I wrote it, so I barely remember much outside the premise. I think at some point he became a bounty hunter that was supposed to hunt down other angels.
Ooh, now we're in something like a dog bounty hunter type deal.
Yeah, it was definitely the guy who owned him basically set him against other angels that were hunting him, and there was a whole thing, and it got really strange even for me. So.
The follow-up says, can I have this?
Right. Someday I might resurrect it as a novella, if I ever remember even a third of what I had written, but it might be.
Okay. Now, you did a book with Michael R. Fletcher, out now, by the way.
It's over there somewhere.
I kind of see it. If you feel like showing it at some point, go right ahead. If not, you know what? What are you going to do? Now, if you ever want to have an unsuccessful book, let me write the other half of that.
I can. Yeah, my solo books are pretty. They fall pretty close to that category. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, but one of the things that I found probably the most transparent of something that I've seen an author do was when you tweeted out your royalties, basically.
Oh yeah.
And I found that to be every writer wants to talk about like I talk to a lot of writers. I'm not a writer myself, but like a lot of the writers, they want to know how to do it, how to put the book out. And I feel like talking about money is the big like no word. And you don't shy away from that.
No, I don't. I mean, I everything I do is on a budget. My covers, 90% of my covers are stock art I've licensed, and then tweaked myself and kind of put together. Same thing, the editing I kind of do on my own, and it probably shows here and there. Um, all of that is all that is on kind of a shoestring budget. Sometimes you just don't have the discretionary funds to do what you need to do, so you do it on your own if you really want to put that book out there. Yeah, and I mean, I think I've been doing this for better part of a decade, and the first time any of my books actually started earning anything was Thieves. So
Okay.
it's and that's still my big earner. And even then, it's it's $120 a month. So it's not. I mean, it's not a huge earner, but it's it's enough to help pay for some other expenses. And yeah, but it's all it's like I tell younger writers and guys new to it. It's all a long con. You have to. I mean, you have to put the work out there, and then you just have to wait. I have friends who have gone on to traditional publishing deals, but they've had their books out for they'd had their books out for 6-7 years at a time before anybody picked them up. So it's definitely a waiting game. You have to be patient.
That almost sounds like a real question for me. Thank you. That's a that I think that's important though, because nobody wants to admit that like they'd like some money for what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think it's unrealistic to be like, I'm perfectly okay with just putting it out in the world and not getting any money. So it's like good to know at least somewhat what you're getting into.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's always been kind of an ego, an ego profit split. Part of it is, yeah, I want people to read my stuff. I want to put it out there, and maybe the money doesn't matter that much. But on the other hand, it's like, God, I want to quit my job and just write full time. So, yeah,
I imagine that people were, I mean, I saw it in the comments and stuff. People were very responsive to that. And I imagine that some other people were very thankful for having you put that out.
well, yeah, I hope it helps somebody. Yeah.
So, can you tell me more about? I was interested in this. You got a lot of great ideas, by the way. You had this heist dream featuring a billiard hall, a cult of janitors, cars, cows, a relentless cop, and a portal rest stop. How did this come together? Like, well,
Pizza? I'm not sure how it happened. It was just this weird dream I had in the middle of the night one night, and I woke up and I actually recalled all of it, which I don't most of the time. Um, I ended up kind of backburnering it because I just wasn't sure how to approach it, even if I wanted to. It definitely was going to have humor overtones, and I've comedy is so hard to write. I write a lot of snarky stuff. I write a lot of sarcasm in my books, but as far as just straight comedy, it's so difficult to get the right tone, and you can see you still don't hit it all the time. You can see if you just kind of scroll through the River of Thieves reviews, people are like, so, who told this guy he was funny? Yeah, so it's painful. So, but it's definitely something I kind of I'll let swirl around the back of my head. And if it goes anywhere, it goes somewhere. If not, it's not a big deal. There's always something else. I've started 4 books and probably scrapped 60 to 70,000 words recently.
I saw that craziness.
Yeah, I just couldn't get anywhere. And then finally, this last one clicked into place, and it's I want to say it's like a mashup of 8mm and Chandler stories.
Okay.
But set in a fantasy world. There are or fantasy sci-fi even. There are bots that are members of society. They're witches built of. These witches are made of colonies of insects. And then there are, of course, necromancers and all this other stuff going on. But basically, it's the whole idea is that this nobleman's kid is missing. So of course, this necromancer gets pulled in, and there's no bodies, so there's nothing for him to do. So he starts kind of working the case like a detective, and then we kind of go from there. But noir is, I really love reading noir. I love writing it. This just kind of fell into place for me.
Is there at one point when it clicks, are you like, fuck yeah, I'm about to rock this book now?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, you just get that kind of little thrill of excitement, and you have to put the words down. And I've learned though that rushing into it like that doesn't always work out. So I tend to outline a little bit and maybe kind of leave that for a couple of days, and then eventually start the first chapter. But it's not so much prolonging the anticipation is making sure I have all the puzzle pieces in place before I actually just start throwing crap down, which is what I used to do. So
okay. So, yeah, I'm super excited to see where that goes, and we'll see. So you have 2 books in Spiffbo this year, right?
Yeah, I do. Technically, Neuralska is under Mike. Mine is Demons Inc. So
hey, pick it up, everybody.
Hopefully. Yeah, I really enjoyed writing that book, and it's got its own little following. People seem to have really kind of clicked with it. So
I'd be surprised if it doesn't go far, because it is super fun.
Yeah, my competition is pretty stiff though. I've got Rob Hayes in my group, and I've got Ben Galley in my group, and so yeah, it's going to be a knife fight at the end, I think.
Those guys suck. Which is what I think I said about you when I told Rob, who was in his group last week.
Right.
I'm just on the side I'm talking to. Is the worst part about having to do a blog tour with Michael Fletcher having to talk with him?
No, the worst part is that he's so much smarter than I am. He pretty much makes me look like a buffoon.
You sure about that?
Oh yeah, unfortunately.
Just from speaking with you for 20 minutes, I would question that. So are you excited to kind of get that? Does it relieve some of the stress having another person doing it with you?
Yes and no. I mean, yeah, it's great to write half a book, which is, sometimes you don't want to write 125,000 words when you sit down.
Yeah, I can imagine.
On the other hand, you're trying to match that talent. It's Michael Fletcher, and I'm me. So having to try to catch up to the guy who wrote Beyond Redemption and Blackstone Heart and Smoke and Stone and all of that is just, it's nerve-wracking. but yeah, I wouldn't trade it. It was totally worth the experience.
Yeah, I think being around talented individuals doing something similar to what you're doing can only bring out more in yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of like playing with like talented athletes. You get better just from being in the area.
Yeah, you would think that.
Clea, we are hard on ourselves, aren't we?
I was never a good athlete. I'm a much better writer than I ever was a runner at track. So
I saw the picture. You took like a 20-year picture the other day. You're looking good. You're looking good now. You haven't changed at all.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, I've gained a whole toddler.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. So Spiffbo, you've entered a few times. You've gotten to the semis.
Yep.
So is this the year you finally break through?
We'll see. I have the feeling that Neuralska might squeak by. even though it's got some stiff competition itself. I suspect Demons is probably going to fall into the semis again, just because of who I'm up against. But yeah, I'd be happy. I'd be happy either way. So as long as it's not a first round elimination. Yeah.
You know what though? I think you're doing great, and like I said, I'd be surprised if this didn't at least have some legs under it because I had a ton of fun with it. One of the things that I saw that you consult a lot is Grey's Anatomy when you're writing your book. So, what about Meredith Grey inspires you to write gore?
I just dislike her so much.
So do I.
So it's that yeah, it's that what's the word I'm looking for? It's horrible. She's so annoying. Uh, and my wife is a huge fan, so
I was gonna say this has to come from a place of experience.
but as far as the book, no, it's pretty useful. I wrote quite a few of the scenes in Obsidian Psalm while consulting that book, especially the surgery scenes and all that. I think a lot of it stuck with me since then. The other stuff I've written, so. But I mean, it's a hell of a tome. If you ever pick the thing up, you could definitely hurt somebody with the thing. But
I mean, it's an old book too. It's like from like 1850s.
yeah, it gets updated. I mean, I think the one that I've got is like the 27th edition. Yeah, it's pretty amazing actually. It's got a ton of diagrams. It's got, it gets right down into procedural stuff. How to actually dissect if you were to have to do that. So
What do you think the first one looked like?
the first one was probably about 100 pages, and it was just a picture of a saw and a guy, I guess. Cut here. So.
I like it. You wrote a book. I brought you on here to talk about it. I'm super excited about it. Demons Inc. Throwing a comma in the title of the book. Wild move. Love it. My first question about it, and as always, I mentioned in the beginning before the interviews start, this is a spoilers podcast. So if you haven't read this fantastic book, first off, what the fuck are you doing? Second off, pick it up and then listen to this interview. Let's do this. Is keeping your dead ex in a jar better or worse than keeping them on social media?
Oh Lord, probably better. At least in the jar they can't tweet at you.
That's true, and then they can't also take pictures like loving it, living life with my girls.
Right. Oh God, he's on Instagram again.
Yeah, it sounds like Corey would have been a real dick if he was posting on social media.
Well, I mean, he killed Ramirez, so yeah, we know he was a dick.
We know that's not true. Is being out of guac at Chipotle the worst feeling in the world?
I haven't been to Chipotle in a while. It's definitely not one of the better ones. Probably ranges right up there with eating gas station sushi.
Is there any time when gas station sushi is appealing?
No. No.
What would you rather eat? Gas station sushi or a questionable hot dog? Now, keep in mind, the questionable hot dog could be delicious.
Yeah, I'll go with a hot dog. Actually, they have these things that are kind of wrapped in tortilla and they spin all day on the rack, and they're called tornadoes, and they're awful for you, but they're delicious. And there's no reconciling that knowledge, because as soon as you put it in your body, your brain goes, oh fuck, and then you keep eating it. So
where can I pick up one of these?
there is a gas station down here called Come and Go, believe it or not, and you can get them. Yeah,
no, it's an interesting name. Come get your tornado at the Come and Go.
Yeah, that's don't confuse that with anything you might see anywhere else.
Now we're cooking, Clayton. How many times has Jack killed the prophet?
Oh Lord. You'll have to remind me who the prophet was. Oh, uh, just the once so far that I remember. Although Jack has because of who he's tied to, and this is all stuff I have to go into when I eventually write another book. Jack has some ancestral memories, and the prophet has been around for a long time, and Jack has always kind of been there beside him. So
okay, because there is mention of that. I was like, damn, what is he off him every other week?
yeah, yeah. So there's definitely a hint that Jack may have been Longinus in another life, and the prophet was Christ. So so yeah, there's that antagonistic relationship right there already. Whether that comes up in the next book or the book after or whatever, I eventually plan on writing 3 in the series. So
thank goodness. So would Jack have been the guy? Oh, this might be too far. Might have been the Roman soldier who nailed him to the cross.
yeah, that would have been Longinus,
Okay.
the one who stuck him in the side with the spear, and so
Okay, so someone didn't remember his Bible stuff enough and just looked very stupid in front of you. My apologies.
oh, no, that's apocrypha that only I seem to remember, and some guy in Rome who is probably very angry that he's reading it constantly. So
Is the prophet's life pretty sweet?
not from what I can tell. The guy lives in an alley with rats. So
Yeah, but he doesn't have to work.
yeah, true.
So he doesn't have to work. He's got some friends, clearly.
Yeah, he has his own little cult, so which is useful. I can imagine. I suspect he eats a lot of gas station hot dogs.
Which, depending on their questionability, could be good or bad.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, when you're immortal.
That's what I mean. Get that extra French fry. Tack on a McFlurry onto your number 5 order at McDonald's. Why not? Live a little.
Yep.
I don't know. The prophet interests me because yeah, he's got to sleep in an alley, but he's immortal, so it's not like he knows he's gonna die anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, it's I think I gave him another name, Man of Sorrows. Was that it?
Yeah, that was that name's made it seem less appealing.
Yeah. So, and he's got that name because he does he always acts as a sacrificial lamb. So
Okay.
so that's even with him living hundreds of thousands of years with all the things that he's able to do or be, he knows he's always fated to die. So
Who wins in the Jesus fight? The Man of Sorrows or the Plaster Jesus?
oh, Man of Sorrows.
Okay. Plaster Jesus is awesome.
Plaster Jesus. Well, I mean, Jack punched a hole through him, so
Yeah, but he kept going.
right.
Plaster Jesus was badass.
Yeah, I think it depends on if Ivy's there. If Ivy's there, then Plaster Jesus is screwed. So
How bad does Jack want to die?
Jack has a yeah, Jack has a little bit of a death complex. So he keeps trying, but nobody takes him up on it, or the people that do just can't do it. So
is it irony that he kills 2 Jesuses in the course of the book?
I don't know if you call it irony, but yeah, he's definitely got some rage issues. So.
The Pope must love him.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a question. Who is the worst middle manager? Vincent Cagliostro, the demon who takes over him, or your current middle manager?
Oh, Cagliostro, easy, because he's just a small time. He's this crime lord, but he really doesn't understand what he's meddling with, which is every middle manager on the planet. They don't.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Predator actually has the pain demon actually has a reason to be there. It knows what it's doing, where Cagliostro is just he's a petty functionary with a clipboard. That's there's really no other way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, that guy just sounded like the worst. I was happy that the demon got him. I was like, man, I'd rather deal with this guy. At least you know what he wants from you.
Right. So,
Speaking of who is worse, who is the worst of Jax's exes? Gabriel, Corey, or maybe in book 2 or 3, Ivy?
worst as in intolerable or scariest?
Oh my God. I mean, let's do both.
Okay. So intolerable Corey, easy. At least Gabrielle always kind of loved Jack, even though she was arrogant. Corey is just a pain in the ass, needy, not really respectful of Jack in any way, just wanted what he wanted. Ivy is the scariest. She can rip a soul out of a human being and put it into a jar. So yeah.
Yeah, never let her check your DMs. I was gonna say Gabrielle because she can pop in and out whenever, and that type of fear is just the worst.
Right. Yeah, it's just taking stalker to the next level is all.
I mean, you can. I just at any moment, if you lie over text, I mean, Jack notoriously anti-phone, but maybe that's why he went off the grid. He was just like, I'm tired of answering goddamn questions and then being caught in lies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I fear for whatever phone she might have given him. So.
Oh, that thing is traced. I don't know. When Jack uppercuts through, I forget whose spine. Was that a Mortal Kombat fatality? Because that was sweet.
Boy, who was that? Yeah, I don't know if it was Mortal Kombat or if it was another flick I was watching at the time, but it was very close. Yeah. A lot of the stuff I had, the fighting, a lot of the choreography and a lot of the fight scenes I had either taken from watching. What was I watching? A lot of John Wick at the time, but I was also watching Spencer. And then I was reading just a crap load of Grimdark, of course. So, but yeah, I mean, Mortal Kombat seems like that makes sense where it would have come from.
Because I actually, in my notes for this, I copy and pasted that, and then I wrote fatality.
Perfect.
Because let me tell you, that action scene was better than the last Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah, that was brutal. I got through it, but I got through it. So
did you? Because I had this feeling. I was like 10 minutes into this. I was like, this is gonna be the greatest movie ever. And then 15 minutes into this, I was like, this movie sucks.
Yeah, I had the same. Yep. I thought, oh, they're actually doing it right. And then about the 15-minute mark, I went, so and by the end, it was certainly a movie that happened, and that's all I can say for it.
Do you feel better or worse for having watched that?
Oh, I'm ambivalent. I watch a lot of bad movies.
Okay, so that's kind of your thing. What are the best bad movies that you can think of? It's kind of putting you on the spot a little.
Oh, Kung Pao Enter the Fist is
that awesome. Movie's sweet.
It's hilarious. So, obviously, I'm probably going to go to hell for this one. Evil Dead 2, terrible movies, but they are fantastic in the fact that they are so bad. They hit that campy line, and then they go past it to awesome. So, those are probably the three for me that are. Because I've seen a lot of stuff that's just bad. The worst movie I think I've ever seen was called Deathbed: The Bed That Eats. That's the title. It was a movie about a bed that killed people.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it was awful. I think it's like 1970 something.
Was that like serious? Like someone like picked up that script? They're like, "This is the one, man. This is gonna make it for us."
Yeah, it wasn't even written as a comedy or a satire or anything. It was this is the movie, guys. We're gonna make a movie about a bed that eats people, and we're gonna play it straight. My only assumption is that somebody in that room had a shitload of cocaine, and everybody just agreed. So, because it is, wow, it's legendary. It's so bad.
I mean, yeah, if you ever been in a room full of people doing cocaine, you could get on some pretty weird ideas and think they're good.
Everybody agrees. Yeah.
Not from experience. Did Thomas Edison really electrocute an elephant?
I can't find the truth in that. It's kind of been floated that yes, he did, in order to prove a point. And I think the point was about the electric chair, or about AC/DC current. I don't remember which, because at the time he and Tesla were feuding.
Right.
So, yeah. So I whether it's true or not, I really liked the idea as far as the little speech Jack gives at the beginning. And it was kind of fun, to call him a hypocrite, and at the same time, Jack is beating the living shit out of some poor dude.
I was hoping that you'd give an answer to that, because I thought, should I look this up and see if this is true? I was like, nah, I'll just ask Clayton.
Yeah, you can probably take anything in my books with a grain of salt. So some of it I actually do research for and dig up, and others, like, I'll see a urban legend or something and go, oh, that's okay, I'll put that in there. So
yeah, so that was an awesome urban legend, if true. My question is, do we have to cancel him now?
Jack or Edison?
Oh, I mean, Jack would be canceled. Edison.
Right. So, I think there's been a movement to cancel Edison for several years. So.
Well, I think that you should lead the charge, because electrocuting an elephant, probably not good.
Yeah, no, not great. But at the same time, that sounds like a lot of work.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. You're not going to do it. You're probably not.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it where it is. Would you go to that show, though?
No, elephants they're too smart.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it would be sad, but I can't imagine there was a lot of entertainment at the time. How many people do you think got the Zach Morris's trash reference?
Oh, probably like 6, and that's fine by me.
Because that was fucking great. That has to be my favorite reference in the whole book.
Awesome. So I was, as long as like one person gets it, I'm like, fuck yeah. So.
I had a double take. I was like, that's not what I think it is, right? And I was like, yes, let's go.
Yeah. I have a bad habit of cramming just a load of pop culture references into all my books. They're not always in your face like that, but like with Thieves and Demons and Thieves War, so they're all kind of right there. And it's always fun to see people kind of pop up and go, hey, did you mean this? Yes I did. So.
What's one that you are super proud of that no one's ever picked up on?
Oh Christ.
I
don't really have a pop culture reference that no one's. Well, no, that's not true. So River of Thieves, there is a scene where Cord and Nen find a talking skull.
Okay.
And Nen and the skull are almost instantly antagonistic towards each other. And the skull starts just complaining about her being an anti-Deadite, which nobody has ever called me on. And that was a double, because the Deadites are from Evil Dead.
Okay.
And then the anti-Deadite is actually a play on anti-dentite from Seinfeld. So yeah, nobody's ever called me on that one. But that book is. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, do you feel relieved that it's out there now, or upset that no one got that extremely clever bit of writing?
No, I'm always happy when somebody comes across it. Somebody else will eventually, and it'll finally catch on. It'll click with somebody, I should say. The other one that nobody has gotten yet, only my wife picked up on it, is all of the rivers in River of Thieves run the wrong direction.
Ooh.
They run south to north,
Which
or east to west.
which for people who don't know anything about geology, which is what I think the subject would be called, that's not the way they normally run.
Right. I got a lecture about that until I actually had to explain that, yes, this is a joke. So.
Oh man, that's got to be the worst. I lived in Hoboken for 2 years. It's definitely the kind of place where a giraffe monkey hybrid would live. That wasn't a question. That was just a statement.
Well, New Jersey. So.
That fuck your couch line. Is Jack secretly Rick James?
Jack is got a little bit of Rick James in him. So the only I still have to throw the next joke in there in the next book, which is what did the five fingers say to the face? So yep.
Gotta love some Chappelle.
Yeah.
One of the questions I ask first-time authors, a little change of pace, is what about your books breaks the traditional mold of what the general perception of what fantasy used to be is, meaning that it's written by people who live in their mom's basement with a neck beard to appeal to, male misogyny, where the super overpowered man always saves the woman and, kind of lives backwardsly.
Yeah. I think all my books kick against that. The Thieves series is actually narrated by Nen, who's the woman, and she's pretty much the no nonsense person, and she's not necessarily, well, she's definitely not heroic, but there's a lot of stuff that I talk about in those books, and stuff that happens in Demon's Inc. too. Jack isn't really a hero. Ivy is his conscience. So there are things that when I sit down to write a book, I want to write something that's not really been done before. And that's just my comfort zone. Is there's plenty of other authors out there that are writing stuff that's traditional. It's well written. It's brilliant, but it's not really me. So that's where I want to kind of break the mold if I can, and it doesn't always work. It's all experimental. Obsidian Psalm is non-linear, and it's weird, and it's brutal and violent, but it's not like any other fantasy novel, and that's why I'm happy with it.
Great. That's a great answer. To follow that up with a less serious question, this is the #1 podcast for dick jokes and fantasy books, and you've got quite a few good ones. Can we go through some of the highlights from Demons Inc.?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Let's pull this up real quick. Under category dick jokes, Regnos was convinced he'd called me a pencil dick. That's just mean. With what? You gonna thump him with that spindly white cock? Dimes asked. She slumped over, laying her head on my chest. Something inside me screamed in agony. Something else was pumping blood like a broken super soaker. But it didn't matter for the moment. We were safe. And then I think my favorite, there's a couple more, but I think I'm running the gauntlet on this. While the other went for my groin, I lashed out with a boot, smashing its teeth down its throat. No Nick's sausage for you, Bubba.
I had forgotten about that one.
You read a good dick joke, Clayton. It's a skill.
If you haven't read Thieves, you would enjoy Thieves then.
Oh, then you gotta come back on. We gotta do it.
There is a spider, and it's made of them.
A dick spider?
Yep.
How has this never come across my radar?
I don't know, because I swear they're going to engrave that on my tombstone.
The master of the dick spider.
Yep.
Or known for the genius that was the dick spider. I mean, that has so much potential. Okay, one of the things I like to do super unsuccessfully, I guess you could call that dick jokes thing a segment, but one of the unsuccessful things I like to do is pitch novella ideas. Are you interested in some of these genius ideas I have for you?
Sure, throw them at me.
I was fascinated by this character who was mentioned once and never mentioned again. Joe, who ain't alive anymore, who ain't alive no more. My novella idea is Joe, who ain't alive no more, is alive again. And everybody who called him Joe ain't alive no more has to kind of have like that doubting Thomas moment where they've got to be like, I don't believe he's real or he's alive. And then he's like, yeah, I'm alive again.
Oh, shit, I love this idea.
That's a lie.
So when you're talking about this, and in my head, all I can see is this kind of undead paybacks. Have you ever seen Payback with Mel Gibson?
No, I haven't. I'm sorry.
So that's all I can think about is this. All the movie is about is this guy who just wants his cut of this heist. And now all I can think about is Joe, who ain't alive no more, coming back from the dead because all he wants is his $100 from this damn heist.
Maybe the curse dollar. Maybe
Right.
he's the original curse dollar guy.
There you go.
I thank you for giving that some legs because it was half an idea. Okay, the second idea. This one you're gonna have to help me a little bit with this one. You know, I'm just the quick pitch guy. A Ratatouille remake, but this time it's the Rat Queen and the rats from the prison, and they are cooking for the prisoners, and they're using the knowledge of what people like from all the prisoners that they ate.
Oh, Christ. That's fantastic. I dabble in cannibalism in the books, so that would definitely be right up my alley.
Was that the most grotesque scene in the book?
Which one?
Where Jack's crawling through the hole, he meets the nice rat queen, and the prison guard is like, yeah, throw your friends in there.
That's probably that's probably the worst scene in that book. Yeah. So,
Spoilers, it gets worse.
Yeah,
Read on for more from Clayton.
so the Obsidian Psalm, I had the main character feed a guy to himself.
Oh, interesting. How
Yeah,
did that work?
He actually severs his leg,
Ugh.
and then cooks it and feeds it to him while he's drugged.
Now, did he have any Chipotle guacamole?
He did not have any guac, which it probably would have helped.
That would have definitely made it more palatable. Is that the word? Who knows? Was Rocket Ages with Tom Cruise really worse than A Land War in Asia?
Dear God, yes. I have never felt physical pain watching a movie before. That was definitely up there. It's terrible.
It was that bad?
Yeah. It's
Well,
probably, I should say it's right up there with Deathbed for movies
maybe those two deserve a collaboration.
Oh Lord, a musical.
Rock of Deathbed? I don't know. I'm not a titles guy. I think that's everything I have. Can you shout out your social medias? Tell people where they can find you. You've got an electric Twitter.
Yeah. So my social media is really just Twitter. It's at Clayton Snyder 2. And that's
Clayton Snyder 1, of course, is the Lizzie McGuire actor.
The guy who played Ethan Kraft. He haunts me. So.
That guy. I'll say it. We could take that beef. I'll take that beef on for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
You need a guy in your corner who could say the things that you can't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I need like an anti-publicist.
You do not. So you can find me on Twitter. All your great books you can find on Amazon. One of them I can lightly see in the corner what below looks like lotion or some sort of computer cleaner.
Yes, Neural Grown.
With a hard to pronounce title, but an awesome to read book I am positive of.
Yep. People seem to enjoy it. And we are working on a second one right now. So
boom, that's what I like to hear.
It is actually going to be me, Fletcher, and Crystal Matar.
Wait, no way.
Yep.
A trimurative? That's mispronounced.
Right. Close enough.
All guests, all now former guests of the show.
Right.
Oh, now that might be an electric interview because Crystal's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on. Good luck in Spitbo. Good luck with everything. And I really appreciate you taking out the time.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Buy the fucking books. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Clayton was awesome. I was super excited to get him on the show. I think that he has a ton of talent, a lot of self-doubt, but I don't know why he does, because his books are a ton of fun. And he's a great guy, so I was happy to hopefully get him out of the shell a little bit, and hopefully he was feeling more comfortable by the end of it. We had a ton of fun after the interview, talking about video games, which, let me tell you, your man's obsessed with them. Not a bad thing. I'm not going to shame someone for being obsessed with video games, because I also like playing video games. Shout out to Halo Infinite, new trailer. Catch me. The handle for that is not Swords and Sports, but maybe one day I'll drop it and we can play video games together. Let's get into these closing statements. Books on the horizon. Dude, it's going to be a wild. I fucking finished up with the June interviews. Well, not that I finished up with them, but I finished booking them. So I think it's fair to say what I have coming up. Next week is going to be The Gutter Prayer by Gareth Hanrahan. Yes, that Gareth Hanrahan. Super excited to bring him on the show. I think he's going to be a ton of fun. I don't know why I was butchering his name. The one thing about Gareth is he has the squeakiest chair on planet Earth. The next week after that is going to be A Griever's Blood by recurring guest Alexander Darwin. And hopefully after that, Priest of Bones by Peter McLean. That is becoming one of those books that I keep teasing and we haven't made happen yet. But have a little faith. And then after that, The Traitor to God by Cameron Johnston. Ooh. Yes, those are some big names. So get ready and get excited. Keep on reading, y'all. Until next week. Peace.